said being cool was acting stupid. They tryna make you nothing more than a groupie. You a leader, a boss, that's more than trendy. You a black guy, that's not a Becky. There's no disrespect intended. You just different. You blessed, you gifted. You ain't gotta.
Okay, Miss Angela of Angels with Wings. I had a young lady ask me, sometimes my parents and the elders of my family ask me what I want to do with my life, and I don't know what to say. What kind of tips can you give her to help her figure that out?
I'm saying you need to figure that out by exploring what your talents are. You could be talented in different areas, and so whichever talent that you feel you have the gift in, I think you should explore that, and based on that, then your parents can figure out if that's a good fit for you. A lot of times, as parents, we want our children to participate in sports and different activities at an early age. So based on that, some children, they do have a talent, and I think they should develop that talent. If I can use an example, my son, he is very talented with his hands. He can do anything from laying tile on the floor to fixing a car. And so for me, I want him to explore maybe being, and he can also build things, so I would want him to explore maybe engineering. So I think it's best that you explore your talents, your God-given talents. And then if that doesn't work, then decide on what's best for you and your family.
I've had people tell me that I have talent, and this is another listener submitted question. How does one build that self-confidence in their talent? How do I know that I'm talented? What kind of tips should I be looking for to tell me that I am talented?
I say you would build self-confidence in your talents by repetition, practicing, mastering that talent, knowing the talent inside and out. I'm going to use another example. My son, he's very good at playing football and basketball, and so he needs to get more training done. He needs to be able to master his craft or his skill.
Family reputations are really big. Your family name is important. Who you are is important. So how do I deal with the pressures of representing my family well?
Well, I would say as a young child between the ages of 12 and 21, that pressure should not really be on you. I think kids should remain kids as much as possible. I think that the pressure that parents are putting now on their children is what's causing them to become or trying to act like adults at an early age. And you shouldn't have that pressure. You should let your child be a child. And if that pressure is on you, then just do the best that you can do and know that, your parents are probably trying to do the best thing for you, but you still should always remain a child and stay in a child's place.
I'm 16 and I have a child, and I feel like my life is over. Is it possible for me to still go to college?
Absolutely. One of my visions and purposes in life is that no matter if you have a child, you can still live your dream. It may take you a while to reach that dream, but you can still live your dream regardless. I'm going to use another example. For me, I did go to college right out of high school, after high school. However, my dad was sick. I came back home thinking I was just going to take off a semester and end up getting a job. Long story short, had children, and I did not finish my bachelor's degree. It took me years later to finish my bachelor's degree, but I did it. And so therefore, you can always pursue your dreams with your children or your child.
How early should I start planning and saving for college?
Oh, as early as possible. But again, that shouldn't be a responsibility of a child. Again, we as parents, we do put a lot of responsibility on our children at an early age. That should be something that the parent is doing, saving up for college. But again, in the world that we live in now, everyone is, in some way, shape, or form, trying to make ends meet. So, I just think it's not a child's place to save up for college. But if that is the case, then start right now, because college is very expensive.
What do you think is a good age to start being on social media?
That one I kind of struggle with, because it's a lot of things going on social media, and you want to protect your children as much as possible. I would say probably a good age that I would allow my children to be on social media is 16. Give them a little bit more talking to about different things that they may encounter on social media. There's all different ways of people making false Facebook pages or Twitter accounts. So I want them to be very knowledgeable first and foremost before they are allowed to be on any type of social media.
Do you think that there's a limit to things that I should share on social media or things I shouldn't share on social media?
I would say please limit your sharing. Your family business or any type of business that's personal, don't share or give too much. We do see where, on Snapchat or Instagram, these kids, they are giving a lot away. Young girls dressing provocatively. So you need to very, limit your usage. And don't share a lot, because it's not, people will take that for granted. They will, they'll use it against you. So as a child, you should not share a lot of information.
How do I know I can trust these people that I don't personally know on social media?
I would say go with your instinct. Get to know someone before you do trust them. We just live in a world where there's a lot of, different things going on. So you want to be very, very cautious of who you share your information with. Because they could take that information and use it against you.
I got some friend requests a couple weeks ago, and I can't tell if they're from a real profile or from a fake page. So what kind of advice do you think you could give me to figure out what is a real versus a fake profile?
Sometimes I would say the profile doesn't have a picture. There's not many friends. If they send you an inbox privately, trying to get you to be their friend, just look at the information, go through to see if you have mutual friends of other friends, and just be very cautious. Look at their profile, look at their age, look at their date of birth, to see if, look at where they live. Those are things that I would tell my kids to be cautious of when signing up or using social media.
I've encountered a lot of racism on social media. Can you tell me how I should deal with that? Should I feel hurt? Should I just ignore? What's the best way to combat the racism that I deal with on social media? If that does happen, I would inform your parents. If it's to the point where it's harassment, then you may want to get reporting on Facebook if you use Facebook or Twitter. If it's a in your city and you know these people or you know that person, you definitely may want to report it to the police, because racial profiling is very serious, as you guys know. It's very serious. So we do need to let our parents know, or your guardian know that you've come across some type of racial language or you've been offended. So this young lady submitted a question, and she wants to know that because she has a baby already, lots of the guys that she encounters thinks that she should be easy and willing to have sex early in a relationship. What kind of advice can you give her to deal with that kind of pressure?
Dating, you should first and foremost self-respect. That is what I teach my young angels. Self-worth, self-respect, self-confidence. If you are dealing with someone who's pressuring you to have sex with them, that person is not meant for you. They should be very understanding and wait to that time is is perfect, and we know that timing, you need to be married before you have sex. So they need to, that person would not, I would say, would not be the right person. And I know that pressure is there, and sometimes we give in to that pressure, but definitely think about, weigh your options, because out of that pressure could possibly come pregnancy. And then we resort back to having a baby at an early age. And then possibly putting your dreams off, to the side until you raise that child.
We have another user submitted question, and this young lady wants to know, my ex-boyfriend and I have a child, and he says that I should not date without his approval. So how do I avoid arguing with him about my choice of who I choose to date?
First, if you're no longer with that father, you have every right to be able to date who you want. I would consider that some type of abuse, mental abuse, manipulation. So you definitely want to pull back from that relationship and don't let that person tell you what you can and cannot do. Abuse it's real, and we sometimes think of abuse as physical, but there's financial abuse, there's mental, emotional. So we need to not only be aware of physical abuse, but we need to be aware of the signs of mental and emotional abuse. And I think that will be one that will classify as some type of abuse.
How soon do you think is too soon after I break up with my child's father before I can date someone else?
I would say take time for yourself. Never rush into another relationship. You need to take time for yourself. You need to self-reflect as to maybe what you contributed to the relationship, why it did not work. We are so often women to want to fulfill that void and date someone maybe soon after, but take time for yourself. That's the most important thing. Self-reflection. When you self-reflect, you'll find that there's something in you greater. And once you find out what's in you greater, then you have that self-worth and you have that self-confidence and the self-respect to date someone who's going to treat you the way you should be treated.
Can you tell the young ladies out there, how will they know if a boy genuinely likes them for who they are and not what they can do for him or what they may do for him sexually? How do we know if a boy really likes them?
If a boy likes you, he will approach you correctly. He will let you know how he feels, but he will also do it with confidence and ensuring that you are respected. You never want to go towards a boy that only wants to be with you because of what you're wearing or how you look. I think, with women, we have to be careful because we do get caught sometimes in the different things that men can provide us. So I think definitely he will show you the right things. Meet your parents. Be respectful of the time that you may have to come into the house. He's going to respect every aspect of you, physical, emotional, and mental.
Do you think there's an age limit to dating? Like, when did you start dating? How do you think a young lady should be before she starts to date?
Well, I would say, because of all the hormones and everything going on, I would say 16. You have some understanding of your body, because as a mom having twin boys that are 14, hormones are crazy, but I don't encourage them to date. What I tell them is I want them to know how to treat a woman first. And with that, maturity comes with dating. You have to be mature enough to date, and when that maturity sets in, then I think that may be a possibility for someone at the age of 16 to date. But I don't encourage dating. What I encourage is getting to know who you are. Once you know who you are, then you can respect that person and respect who they are. So at this point, 16, but I don't encourage. Get your education. Get to know what you want out of life. You have a lot of time to date.
Okay, so you've experienced this as I have experienced this as well. When you grow up, the people that you grew up with, that you were friends with when, you were 16, 17, 18, they were your world. And now that you're older and you've grown apart, how do you deal with the growing apart from your childhood friends? How do you make it every day and not be upset about these seasonal friendships?
As an adult, I am learning that there's a journey that sometimes your friends can't go with you on, and that's okay. You can still be a friend. It may not be your best friend or anymore. You may not be close, but if you're a true friend, there will always be a connection there. You don't have to talk to your friend every day to consider that person a friend. A friend to me is sticking by you through thick and thin, being there for you when you need them or when you need to call on them. But if you were to grow apart, just be true. Never go behind somebody's back to talk about them. Let them know how you feel. Go to that person if there's an issue and try to settle it that way. But otherwise, be true to who you are. Be true to your friends.
This is a really good question. The young lady that sent this in, she says, some of my friends have started drinking and doing drugs, and she wants to know how can she avoid the peer pressure of doing the things that they're doing. And she also has a follow-up question. She wants to know, could she still be friends with them, or should she stop being friends with them as a result of the activities that they participate in that she's not willing to participate in?
I would say always say no to drugs. If they are doing some things that are not appropriate, then I would probably talk to them about it. Stand up, let them know what they're doing is not, for one, it's not healthy. For two, you can get in a lot of trouble with the law. So stand up and let them know that it's not right. If that doesn't work, then maybe you have a person you can confide in. If you can confide in that person, then let them know, and hopefully that person can go to them in secret and speak to them about it. But always say no to drugs. Drugs are really bad for you, and it can cause you to do things that you don't want to do and get you into trouble.
Now, here's one is near and dear to my heart that we've talked about on our podcast a lot, about how young ladies dress and how their mothers dress. So this young lady wants to know, how does she deal with the peer pressure of not dressing sexy enough?
First off, sexy to me is not the way someone dresses. Sexy is their mind, what they're capable of. Sexy is knowing how to speak correctly, your posture. So if someone thinks you're not dressing sexy enough, then still it all goes back to your self-respect, your self-worth, and your self-confidence, because you can be fully dressed and still be sexy.
Ooh-wee. Now, as the mother of a teenage daughter who talks to her father about everything, this is a question that I can so totally relate to. And this young lady says, all of my life, me and my father have been real close, but now that I'm getting older, there are some things that I just can't talk to him about. How do I still remain close to my father, but not talk about these things that I'm not willing to talk about without hurting his feelings? I think my daughter sent that question.
Just be honest. Sometimes we don't like to hear the truth, but the truth, as my parents and everybody would say, will set you free. So talk to your parents. There are times where our feelings are hurt, but the most important thing is to always tell the truth. Always tell what you're feeling, and you should be comfortable enough, hopefully, with your parents to let them know what you're feeling without them feeling like you've hurt them in some sort of way.
Here's a big one. Some friendships are derived and built on cracking on each other or calling each other names or being derogatory, but in a fun way. And it's okay that, you call me a punk or you call me a name because we're friends. But this young lady wants to know, her friends that keep calling her names, they're saying that it's a joke. But to me, it doesn't feel like a joke. So how do I deal with my friends who seem to be mean to me?
I will probably separate myself from those people, because when people are negative, that feeds into your own spirit. So if they're saying mean things or calling you names, they're truly not your friends, and that's a form of bullying. And we do know that, a lot of kids have committed suicide based on bullying. So if that's what they're doing, I would separate myself. If it gets to the point to where you need to speak to someone, go to someone and let them know what's happening. But definitely, you want to hang with people that are going to be positive. Because positive people do not, if you're sure of yourself, we don't have to intimidate you. So I would say, separate yourself, do what you do best. And again, it all goes back to loving yourself. If you love yourself, then you won't allow anyone to disrespect you.
Thank you, Miss Angela, so much for talking to us today. But before you go, I got one more question. Tell me about Angels with Wings.
Well, Angels with Wings is a mentoring program to young ladies and single mothers. It became my vision years ago as a single mom to help other single mothers. Like I said, it took a while for me to get my college degree because I became a mother of 3. Realizing that I still have dreams and goals. And so I developed Angels with Wings for young ladies and single mothers to help them realize their purpose in life. As I went through developing Angels with Wings, what God was telling me is not to limit it to just young ladies, because it takes a young girl to become a young lady. And so I started focusing on young girls. I previously worked at Richard Allen, and I had about 18 what I called my angels. And we talked about self-identity, self-respect, self-confidence, self-esteem. And the questions that you just asked me, they are very relevant to today's young girls, because some of them aren't confident. And so what we do is we do different activities to build up that self-confidence. I have young girls coming to me personally to, talk. And it's just been a vision of mine. With the single mothers, I help those single mothers who struggle. I call them my women tea, because they're women who have children who are struggling. They may be going through a certain situation but have no one to turn to. And so what I do in that instance is help them reach their potential, reach their goals, talk to them if they need talking to. So Angels with Wings, it's becoming a multitude of different things. I also do a gospel fast, because people need healing, and what better way is, to praise the Lord and just self-heal. We all have some sort of thing that we've dealt with in life, either as a child or a young adult. And so, like I said, Angels with Wings is just becoming a multitude of different things. Even with the live talk show called Live with Angela, I interview different community activists in Dayton, or different organizations who are out here doing great things in the community. So basically, I'm just here to help single moms and young ladies, young girls realize their vision and their purpose in life. And I think so far, I would say that Angels with Wings is doing very well, and I'm very happy with the single mothers and the young ladies that I have so far.
Hey, little sister, did you know you came from a long line of kings and queens, scholars, and philosophers? You are more valuable than diamonds and gold. Just remember, don't let anyone say that you're nothing, because you are royal. And royalty hold their head up high and respect themselves. And you respect yourself and hold yourself to a higher standard, others will have to hold you to that too.
Greetings, my sister. You are the author of your destiny. So be that somebody that no one can be.
Peace, little sisters, but not that peace, beloved Hotep peace that we use when we mean to say what's up. but that real peace, that calm that's in the middle of all of the chaos that's around you, that being able to remain at ease and at peace when there's madness all around you, that type of peace. But how do we achieve that kind of peace? Through meditation, spending time in nature, and definitely raise the vibration in the words that come out of your mouth. Peace.